So, Danny, thank you for taking time out. I'm imagining, preparations for film festivals are always a busy time. So, thank you so much. We're obviously here talking about Five, which is screening at Fright Fest. You've been to Fright Fest previously with Follow Her, which you wrote and starred in. Having had that kind of experience with the festival, how are you feeling about the selection and the screening?
Yeah, I had a very positive experience at Fright Fest when we came with Follow Her, so I'm excited to come back. This is Five is another passion project, and because I'm coming in as the director this time, it's I think that much more exciting for me. I also know that there's a bunch of filmmakers that are coming back or coming maybe not coming back, but coming to Fright Fest that I've met at other festivals 3 years ago. So I'm excited to be there to celebrate them too and have followed along their journey. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Definitely. And for those that haven't done their homework, how have you been pitching Five to people?
Well, I mean, we're very much at the beginning of anything to do with distribution and film festivals, being that Fright Fest is our world premiere. So we haven't necessarily even begun promotion on this film. We are very much at the beginning stages. So what I have shared are a couple samples of posters and have shared that this is a horror comedy. So it's a horror comedy feature film. It's very satirical. I tend to be drawn to anything meta. And so because this is a movie about making a movie, it very much encompasses everything that I've learned as a filmmaker, from the chaos of indie filmmaking and what it takes to get through a low budget production and how scrappy you have to get. We shot this film during the writer's strike. So that has very much woven itself into the DNA of this film, being that it is a film about making a movie during the writer's strike. So it's all very fun for me.
And like I said, this is a horror comedy. How do you go about sort of balancing those two elements?
So we were very deliberate to have three very different worlds within this movie. So there's the more traditional horror aspect of it, which is typically on tripods, maybe some slow dolly movements in there, but more stage traditional horror, to say the least. And then we have the behind the scenes of the crew and the chaos of making the movie and really breaking that fourth wall. And so that's very frenetic, fast pace, drum beats. Um, and I feel like that really does mimic the reality of making a movie like this. And then we get into rom-com, which veers more into almost spoofing what might be a Lifetime or Hallmark movie, in that we need it to be overly saturated and bright and happy. And we fill the aspect ratio to the full screen once we go into rom-com world. And so we get to play with the aspect ratios of breaking that fourth wall once we go into cut and moving on, or let's go again. Myself and our DP, Corey McGregor, very much established these three worlds and how we were going to go about that and make it look different and feel different from one to the next.
I mean, one of the elements that I did really enjoy was the behind the scenes production and the kind of like Hallmark-esque cheesy rom-com. I mean, was that just an excuse to, do a lot of research and just kind of like sit back one weekend and just like, consume them? Because, how did you go about, capturing that kind of saccharine tone? Because I think the film does it, really well.
Well, thank you. We actually went into this project with the intentions to make two movies at the same time. And so the production company that we opened is called Double Feature Productions because we had hired a writer, Eva Tavares, to write the renovated romance script, which is the rom-com scenes in the movie. And so we actually have that full script written. We realized it was too ambitious to go into this doing two features at the same time because we would have had to block shoot it and it would have been a lot, especially during the writer's strike. Um, and so we were fortunate enough to get this incredible team that supported us on this project. But as it came down, as we inched closer to production, because it was very rushed, I think we wrote this script within a couple of weeks and then basically went straight to camera. Uh, yeah, we basically snapped into reality around that time that let's just do one at a time. Let's make it easier on everyone. Let's just do one at a time. The horror was much more attainable in that when you're shooting a rom-com, typically you would need to stage the whole house. You need a lot of different locations. It all needs to look beautiful. You need a decent sized budget for production design. With our movie, you could take a corner of a room and just stage that one corner to make one scene out of the rom-com. So for us, we're like, this is a lot more attainable. Let's just stick to that, and then we'll get to the rom-com later. So that was the whole impetus for this entire project was that we went in being like, we're going to shoot two movies at the same time.
So we might get, renovated romance at some point then.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great script. Eva did such a good job writing it. It's a super fun story, one location, small cast. So yeah, we'll definitely get there.
And five also explores, the fame game and how actors are so often defined by how well a film has performed rather than, the work that they hit themselves have given within them. As an
Mhm.
actor yourself, how have you found sort of society's fascination with the perceived success of movies?
The perceived excess of movies?
It was just like the perceived success, it's like, like already they're talking that, Fantastic Four isn't doing very well. It's in its second weekend, people are busy, it's the
Mm.
holidays. But then those
Mhm.
actors that have been in that will then potentially get tarnished because they were in that film that bombed.
I think so. There's a really interesting thing happening in the world right now, which I just directed my first vertical microdrama project, and it's a relevant, timely topic because what is happening is a lot of actors aren't given enough preparation time, for example, and they're thrown into these scenes and they're building these careers out of the Hello, Katie. They're building their careers out of this new media microdrama format that is so unknown to everyone. And it's a bit of a scary place to be because actors are, for example, being compared, they're given the same scripts to two different projects, just as one example, and then actors are compared to other actors who are filming the same story. And there's, I guess, certain elements to what's happening that feel very unfair to these actors. I feel grateful that I'm on the other side of it now. I don't have to deal with those kinds of pressures, or if there's script changes the day of, and they've had no time to process these script changes, and they're thrown into a pretty high sexual scene, and they don't have that mental preparation time. I feel it's my duty now as a director to protect those actors and to be able to have those conversations and make sure that there are intimacy coordinators and that everyone feels safe on set. Even as a director, the same way you would as an actor, taking Five as an example, I don't know how the audience is going to perceive this film. I go into this with no expectations, honestly. I've been burned before on projects, so I'm I'm optimistic in a sense that I enjoy the film. I think it's a lot of fun, but I don't have any delusions about what it needs to be. So I very much expect, like any project, to be ripped to shreds. You know? And I think that's just part of the game. Like you have to know when you're going into this industry, especially as a director, especially as an actor, when you're playing the lead, that's just what comes with the territory. And as best as we can't take it personally. We just have to move on to the next.
Mm. And as Melody, Tegan has to go on quite the journey. When did you know that she was the right person for the part? Because as you say, at one point she's in a rom-com, and then she's, she's being Melody, and then she's being like Melody, but with horror elements.
Hmm. Yeah, funny enough, Tegan came into the project very last minute.
Okay.
And we had one of our producers was supposed to play the lead in in this particular feature and was offered another role on a separate project. And understandably, she wanted to take that role and produce this one at the same time. So I've been friends with Tegan for probably a decade now. And Tegan, oddly enough, I believe was one of the first people to pop up in both mine and my co-producers' heads as a perfect fit for this project. So when we reached out, Tegan really resonated with the material. She knew it was going to be something very challenging, something different. So she was really excited and everything fit together. Honestly, I don't believe we could have found a better actress for this role than Tegan in the end. She gave so much to it.
Yeah, because it's not a role for a precious actor. Melody gets, she gets covered in gunk. It's not a pretty role.
It's not, and I have to give a shout out to Tegan because Tegan has this incredible ability. No matter what I throw at her as a director, she takes a second, got it. No protesting, no resistance. She finds a way to make it work. And rarely did we ever have to like hash anything out or make anything make sense. It's just like we were right there with each other the whole time. So for me, it was an absolute dream to work with someone like her. Honestly, our whole cast was phenomenal.
And I guess, my final question, as you know, Fright Fest, or, it has, any number of two, three films showing it at any one time. Why do you hope that attendees take a chance on five?
I believe filmmakers specifically will very much appreciate this movie and cinephiles who appreciate genre movies specifically. I believe will understand what we're trying to do with this film, especially in the sense that we have created these three very different worlds. I think people will take a lot from it in their understanding and knowledge of what it takes to make a movie of this nature, and that you're literally witnessing these actors making a movie within the movie. Um, and I think at the end of the day, they will enjoy watching it. We're not trying to change lives with this movie. I think it's a fun, entertaining film, and that's enough for me that they can walk away feeling like that was an interesting ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I completely agree. Thank you for your time and best of luck with the screening.
Thank you so much, Kat. I appreciate it.